Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, and you're sitting in Kana's Corner. And we're all sitting together with Mike Pollock. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for asking.
Well,
Glad to be here.
I can tell automatically that you have that narrator voice. You speak so crystal clear. There's no, some kind of tones in the voice or bad qualities. It's just automatic.
That's my radio career coming back to haunt me.
Well, you probably have a lot more experience than I do.
Got to start somewhere.
Very true. And, we did ask you on the show over Pokemon, and it seems we had a mistaken sort of identity there. And you said you worked on it for about 2 years?
Yeah, I was 2 seasons as narrator, I believe.
And how exactly did you get that gig? Was it just like any other?
It was an odd sort of situation. The original narrator left for reasons that aren't quite clear, and they brought me in to narrate Jirachi Wishmaker, and that turned into replacing the narrator for the rest of the time that Pokemon was at 4Kids. And then when 4Kids lost Pokemon, they lost all of their 4Kids cast as well for a period of another 2 years.
Oh, wow. And now, did you kind of know how big Pokemon was at that time?
Oh, sure. I had already been aware of other 4Kids stuff, and I knew that they had Pokemon, and I had actually done my first episode of Pokemon back in 2000 or 2001. I did a little guest shot thing, and it was already huge back then. And then as time went on, I did more 4Kids stuff, and they eventually asked me to be the narrator. I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
And now, do you ever kind of get really excited when you're in one of those really popular shows that everybody and their mom knows about?
Absolutely. And especially now that I have a 7-year-old son, and the kids at school have a general idea of who I am, and that's cool.
Oh, he gets to brag about that, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Does he actually play Pokemon out of curiosity?
He would like to play more than he does, but he always sees commercials for new cards and new games and stuff, and says, "Can I get that?" He'll lose interest in it, but sure. So yes, he likes to think he plays Pokemon more than he does.
That's very cool. And now, for a narrator voice, do you have to do anything special or spectacular for that? Is it different than, the emotions of, say, a character you're playing?
The only notes that I really got when I was narrating Pokemon was sort of a grandfatherly voice, which I actually never quite heard when I was doing it, but they said that the voice that I was doing sounded grandfatherly. So my general rule is if I'm doing what the producer wants and what the director wants, then I'm happy because they're the ones paying me. So if they like it, that's good enough for me.
That's true. And the show is very child safe, at least when they brought it over to the Western Shores. So I'm sure they kind of wanted something, you know, sort of comforting and could tell a story like that.
hmm
Now, but in comparison to your other work, though, is there a big difference since, you're displaying so much emotion if you're, say, a character?
It's yeah, a little more dispassionate. The trick about being the narrator is that I really hardly ever knew what was going on other than the couple of paragraphs I would see at the beginning and end of the episode. The director would usually say, "Here's what happens in this episode, and in 4 sentences, this is what's going on." And I would have to kind of digest that and then read the actual narrator copy and make it sound like I knew what I was talking about. But if you were to quiz me on the events of any episode, I would know little else other than what I just said.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. We understand. And it's funny because, I was saying to you when you came on, I was told you were involved in Pokemon, but I wasn't told you were involved in Sonic.
Mm-hmm. Little side project there, I guess. Only
Oh,
been doing
that's
that for
one way
about
to
6 years. Yeah.
one way to put it, especially since you're the lead villain.
Right.
That must be so fun.
Yeah, it is. Villains are always great. I've done lots of villains lately, and they're very cathartic. I get to do a lot of yelling and screaming, and no one really gets hurt.
That's very true. And Dr. Eggman himself is very funny, especially when things don't go the right way.
Exactly. And I'm glad that I have the chance to play it for both the comedy and the villainy.
And now, specifically with that sort of role, did you have trouble after, you sort of grow up with Sonic? I don't know specifically if you did, but was that kind of interesting bringing him to life?
It was. It was. I was a late addition to the process because we New York people replaced the West Coast people when the Sonic X anime got translated into English, and then we sort of inherited all of the games, which is a bit of a sore point with some of the fan base. That's another matter. Um, so I had known a little bit about the characters, but not a whole lot. So it was great to sort of learn about it as I was doing it and being able to turn the character into my own as much as I could.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like the voice has sort of grown up from being the a scraggly old man to a bit more, realistic and Sonic.
Yeah, and again, it's a situation of as long as I'm doing what the producers and directors like, then that makes me happy, and that makes them happy. But it was my characterization was kind of based on previous actors doing the role, and then eventually a lot more of my personality came in.
Well, very cool. We're going to take a short break, but keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want.
Ever wonder what's going on in the anime world? Check out 918 The Fan every weekday for the newest iStock. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know in 3 minutes or less. Only on 918thefan.com.
Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. We're still sitting in Kana's corner, and it's a comfy corner. Well, if I do say so myself. And I'm still here with Mike Pollock. Thank you very
Hello.
much. Yes.
Sure.
Haven't chased you away yet.
No, no, no. I'm still sitting here, tied down to the chair.
Yeah. That wasn't my idea. That was, Sandy's idea.
Excellent.
Now, I was curious. We were asking about some of the upcoming works that you have sort of in the kinks right now. That's going through the motions. Could you elaborate on some of your newer stuff?
Sure. The stuff that you can enjoy sitting at home. I'm actually, I've got a couple of pages in an excellent book on voice acting. It's called Voice for Hire, and it's written by Peter Roffet and Randy Thomas. And you might know Randy Thomas as the female announcer of the Oscars and the Grammy Awards and all the big award shows. And I've got a couple of pages on animation and how we dub anime and stuff like that. And that was worthy of two pages in the book because the guy who wrote it's also my voiceover coach that I work with. That's available in fine stores everywhere, or you can get a signed copy from my website at itsamike.com. That is ITSAMIKE.com. I'll happily send you a signed copy. Got stuff coming up. The big thing I did last year that was very cool is the Marvel motion comic for the Astonishing X-Men, which is available on iTunes. And that's been getting very good reviews, if I do say so myself. I'll be appearing on late night TV as the voice of the Sun in commercials for Sunsetter retractable awnings, which came out really cool, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing those when they start airing. Then if you're able to travel to places, I'll be appearing at the Long Island Radio and TV Day on Saturday, April 17th in Brookville, Long Island, New York. And then further out, November 5th through the 7th, I will be at the DFW Hedgehog Show and Sonic Con in Plano, Texas, which is a convention of not only fans of real live furry hedgehogs, but Sonic the Hedgehog as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
I have never heard of a convention like that, but I guess it takes all kinds.
Absolutely. It's very bizarre, and I've been offered to have a hedgehog to take care of for the duration of the show. I'm not sure I'm willing to take them up on that offer yet.
Oh, that's cute. Are there any other conventions throughout the year that you might be going to in 2010?
I'm waiting for any invites that might come along, so if you know anyone that's on the guest organizing committee for your local convention, have them contact me. I'll be available to come.
Awesome stuff. And are you more on the West Coast or the East Coast? Maybe that'll be easier.
I'm an East Coast guy, but if they'll send a plane for me, I'll hop on. In the past, I've appeared at Anime Next in Secaucus, New Jersey, several times. It's either in Secaucus or I think it's going to be in Somerset, New Jersey this year. And sometimes they call me at the last minute, so I might be appearing there, but I have no official word to say about that just yet. But I've been there plenty of times before, and they've been swell people.
Well, it's always fun to interact with the fans, too, I would think.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you ever get any crazy fans?
Some mildly obsessed people, but I can generally handle that.
Well, that's a good thing, though. We don't want random stalkers outside of your hotel room.
Absolutely.
And now you did mention your website, but do you have any other sites that you'd like us to know about?
Sure, I'm searchable on Facebook. I don't have a real life fan page, but I do have my regular friendable page. So come on and be my friend. Um, I have a Twitter feed that just languages or languishes, and it's hardly worth mentioning. But the my updates tend to be on Facebook if there's something worth mentioning, either professional related or just some goofy thought that's occurred to me. I'll post that on Facebook.
Very cool. And is that the best place to, track all your new stuff that you can't talk about yet?
My website actually has a This Just In page where if there is something that I can talk about, like these conventions or the book, or what else is on here? Oh, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing is on sale now. So you can not only read about it, you can buy a copy through my website if you'd like. And some other stuff that I've done on the radio and whatnot is available on the website. So yeah, just go to the website and you'll see the This Just In thing fills up most of the front page.
Very cool. And is there anything else you want our listeners to know about?
Go to the website. There's goofy stuff that I did on the radio that it's hardly worth explaining, but you can click on it and listen to it and say, "Oh, what a waste of time that was."
I'm sure when we do post the interview in the archive section, a lot of people will check it out, so don't worry.
Perfect.
In a relation, though, before, I let you go, I was curious if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure. Is it painful?
Not too much.
Great.
No, I'm kidding. We ask anyone who comes onto the show if they'd be willing to do a bump for us.
Okay.
And we were wondering if at possible we do this on air just in case, there's any bloopers that are insane. But we were wondering if you could say, my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Sure. Let me see if I could do that from memory. Oh, here's where the outtakes will happen. Okay, cool.
So whenever you're ready.
Are we rolling? Perfect.
Yes, we are.
Hi, my name is Mike Pollock. You might remember me from such roles as Dr. Eggman in the Sonic games. And you're listening to 91.8 The Fan.
That was perfect.
Thank you so much.
I've
still got it.
I haven't heard a great bump like that in a while, I'll be honest.
Thank you. I've been out of radio proper for several years, but apparently it's like riding a bike. You get right back on.
I actually didn't know you started in radio. That's very
interesting.
interesting.
You bet. Back in the 80s. I'm very old. But yes, back in the 80s, I did some radio stuff up in upstate New York. And I've had a very checkered radio history.
I have to wonder, how'd you go from radio to anime?
Well, it's actually a fairly simple jump. When I was in doing radio stuff, I actually got tremendous joy out of doing production, making commercials, because I would get to do wacky stuff and do all my wacky voices. And then I realized that there was a market for just voice acting where you could just go and voice commercials alone or cartoons and stuff. And I said, well, that's much more interesting. So once I transitioned from on-air radio to behind-the-scenes radio syndication, there was time to skip out and do freelance work, which is what most of the voice acting world is. So I started doing the animation stuff. And that's carried on to this day.
And so you don't really do radio so much, but you do commercials, from what I know?
Yeah, I do. I have the commercials and stuff are also freelance. So it's usually going out on auditions and waiting to be hired for them. Or some that just come to me and say, well, we know you do this, so here, come do this voice. No need to audition. Just come in and record or send us audio remotely and we'll make it into a commercial. But radio is in a wacky stage right now of being very corporate and very lean. So there's not a lot of work for the fun, wacky people like myself. But if radio came calling, I would probably answer and say, sure, I'll take some full-time work because it's the economy. We all need all the economy help we can get.
Oh, naturally, we can understand that. I mean, it seems there's a big shift to online radio now, which isn't yet controlled by all the corporate stuff, but we'll see.
Right. But there's also the lack of money in that as well.
Oh, yes.
It's one thing to work in radio and get a paycheck, and then it's another thing to be on the radio and for the love of the medium. And while I'm all for the love of the medium, I also have this love of food. And shelter.
Like food too.
Yes, exactly. So you need money to have the food and the shelter and the clothing and that sort of thing. Oh, here's another cool thing that I can mention. Speaking of clothing, I'm also the voice of a YouTube parody for the Scotty vest, which is a delightfully geeky piece of clothing that's chock full of 22 pockets to put all your stuff in. And they promoted it with a parody of the the iPhone app spots, and they were looking for someone to voice that. And the CEO of that company, who also has a Facebook page and does all sorts of online conversations, mentioned, "Hey, we're looking for voice talent." And I said, "I do voice talent, and I'm a customer. I wear your product." And I sent him a thing. He says, "Wow, that's great. Come voice this spot." So if you go to my website, you'll find a link to the YouTube video of me narrating the fake iPhone app spot for the Scotty vest.
That is hilarious. I can't see why you would need a vest with that many pockets, but that's just me.
You'd be surprised. I've been wearing them for about 3 years, and I had all the pockets filled up in a couple of weeks. I said, "Oh, I could put this here. This could be here. Oh, look, this can be here. Hey, I'm out of pockets."
It's like
That
a
didn't take long at all.
Batman utility belt.
Exactly right. And one of the coolest things, I don't actually sell these vests, but I'll tell you about them anyway because I've been wearing one for so long. They feature a personal access network. You can actually run wires inside the vest. So you can have your MP3 player in one pocket and the wire snaking up through with the headphones poking up the top of the vest.
That sounds so interesting. I'm going to have to check that out after the interview.
By all means.
And is there anything else that you can think of that our listeners should know about?
I will be appearing as various one-off characters in Pokemon episodes that are coming up, because I've been in to record some, and I'm doing lots of other stuff with the DuArt people who produce Pokemon for some of the other projects that they're involved in. But again, I'm not their PR department, so I can't tell you specifics. But if it's something worth mentioning and I can put a link up to it, it'll be on the website.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We certainly appreciated it.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking.
Not at all. And everybody out there, if you missed any of this, remember, it'll be up on the website either later tonight or tomorrow morning. Keep it tuned to your favorite station, only on 91.8.